An edition of House of Sparky's Basketball Roundup. Today I'm here with Tyler Nickel, a senior journalism student at Arizona State, one of our featured writers for the site. Tyler, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Corey?
Pretty good. Feeling like a little nervous for tomorrow night's game against Washington State. I know that the Cougars haven't had a great year statistically. The wins and losses haven't really lined up the way they'd want them to. But going into Pullman in the winter is never a fun time. We learned the hard way several times watching Arizona State football team go up to Pullman, get frozen out in the snow, especially 2 years ago when Brock Osweiler was still around. But I'm thinking this could be a trap game, but the way that the basketball team has been playing lately, it seems like it could just turn out to be like a safe victory as well. So pretty much just natural nerves and excitement for the team to get back on the court at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a trap game for them necessarily. I think this team has learned that no matter the opponent, they treat them all equally. I think what you saw with UCLA, they didn't really back down, no matter how many people thought, oh, UCLA is going to win this, Shabazz Muhammad's going to go off for 30 points, whatever. It didn't matter. They didn't back down, and they won a game that, quite frankly, I thought they were going to win anyways. But
Yeah, that makes sense. And one thing about the UCLA game that I thought was pretty cool was we saw the team really come together as a unit. With Chris Colvin out for a couple games under suspension and having an injury, the team had to tighten up the rotation, and it was really only a six-man rotation except for Bo Barnes and Eric Jacobson getting in for just a moment or two. And I think we learned a lot about the team and its cohesiveness as a unit. Colvin's coming back for the next game, and it should be nice to have someone to spell Carson and Felix and Gordon and give some depth to the squad because you're going to need it down the stretch in the Pac-12. But at this point, we've seen that the six-man rotation worked really well these last couple games.
it's so far, but I think as the season wears on a little more, if the Devils get into the tournament, I mean, that might start to show up a little bit that they have such a small rotation, such a tight one that Carson's going to get tired. This Carrick Felix, these guys are playing 40 minutes a game sometimes, the entire game. They're not coming out. So I think that will show down the stretch. I mean, you can't really dodge that.
Yeah, and Carson especially, he's a young player, and we haven't really seen what teams have done to jar his mentality and maybe get on him and get some early fouls. We saw what happened when he had foul trouble against Arizona, and that was pretty miserable from a fan perspective, seeing them lose by that many points. But there's got to be someone there to spell him and give him the confidence he needs to attack the basket with regularity, and that is Chris Colvin. But the real resurgence here is Evan Gordon. The fact that he's come out and scored 18 points a game since he started playing as much as he has, that's a great thing for Arizona State.
Agreed. I mean, they're not going to get very far without him. He's their best shooter on their team. He's a guy that can create besides Jahi Carson. So when defenses start to lock down on Carson, he can hand the ball off to Gordon a little bit and let him create some things. And so it's nice to have with Carson dribbling in the paint, drawing all those defenders in. It's nice to have Gordon on the outside to kick it out to, as well as Gilling and Felix. Now, if we can only just get Gilling and Gordon hot at the same time, then the Devils are going to be scary.
That sounds kind of like a dream circumstance almost. If all five players are hitting on all cylinders, we'll be
True.
winning the Pac-12.
True, but I mean, Gilling has been really off and on, and then when he's on, it seems like Gordon's off and vice versa. So I think if you can get those two going, then I really think they have a good chance at making a nice run.
Yeah, I agree completely. Speaking of nice runs, Tyler, what do you think ASU needs to do to make the NCAA tournament at this point?
I think they just need to keep clipping along the way they are, keep building that cohesiveness, and get Bachynski the ball. I know sometimes he fumbles it a lot, and his hands aren't the greatest of all big men, but I think if you continue to feed him the ball in the inside, he has a height advantage on most nights. He's going to block shots. He's going to grab some boards. Just get him a few points in the paint, get him aggressive. I think there's not really many teams that are going to stop him, especially in the Pac-12.
Yeah, and the schedule is not exactly the toughest going down the stretch. We do have games against UCLA and Arizona to deal with. Fortunately, I guess you could say we don't have to play Oregon again. We do have a road game against Colorado, but we have a lot of winnable games, and that means that we need to win a lot of games. We can't lose games. We can't lose tomorrow. Like that's the type of thing that we have to be really cognizant of. We're not in the Big East. Like if we lose a game on the road to Utah or a game on the road to Washington State, that's a backbreaker unless we can pull together wins in other areas.
Right, right. I agree.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think in terms of wins and losses, Arizona State's well on its way.
Mhm.
24 wins will get them in the tournament. 23 is a maybe, but that would kind of be a dangerous situation to be in because if they lose as many games to only have 23 at the end of the season, there's going to be some. They're not going to be in any bracketologist brackets. I'll say that much.
Right. It'll be interesting to see what seed they end up with once they do. I think they will make the tournament, but it'll be interesting to see where they are. I'm thinking around 10 to 12, somewhere in there would be ideal, but who knows at this point? There's so
Yeah,
long.
it really just is a matter of whether or not the team can stay around and continue to build that quality profile that is necessary for a team to get into the single digits. Um, if they beat Arizona and they win 24, 25, 26, depending on the tournament, they could be up to the 7 seed. It just really depends on how well they do. So
Right.
that's really the end of the story there. But enough about that. Let's just finish out here with something fun. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the name Jordan Bachynski?
Goofy.
Goofy. I
Yeah, I
think
don't know. He just runs down the floor really goofy, and he's just goofy looking, and I don't know.
I
Just
reserve that for Ruslan Pativ more. I
yeah,
think
that's true. Ruslan, yeah, he runs even goofier. That's true.
I view him in like a positive way, of course, but I view him as kind of like robotic in everything he does. When he has a great game, I'm a little surprised. Not because I don't think he's capable of it. It's just because I feel like you can kind of see what he's doing before he even does it, and it's kind of robotic all the time. But for Baczynski, I think back to when he was a freshman and he had this really short cut hair, and now he's got this like crazy long, like beautiful flowing locks with a
Yeah,
ponytail.
yeah.
I don't know. Probably should ask him what kind of hair product he uses because it's working. And finally, let's finish it out. What do you think about when I say Tucson?
Evil. I
Evil.
mean, what else can you think of besides the evil
Yeah.
empire
It's
down
the one.
there?
It's the one place that's worse than hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's probably enough. Do you have anything else you want to add, Tyler?
If they can come out of this Washington trip with a couple of wins, I think they're definitely going to be on their way a little more towards that NCAA tournament.
That's for sure. If it's 18-4 going into the next homestand, I think it's going to be near impossible for this team to flame out hard enough to miss the tournament.
Hmm.
Um, but that's why we play the games. We got to go out there and win every day. This team is well aware of that, and I don't think they're going to slip up on the road either.
Neither do I.
All right, great. Well, Tyler, thanks for joining me, and thanks to you, the fans, for watching this. Go Devils!